All right. Well, we are back from a small vacation, a 4-year vacation, I think. Welcome to the Velvet Blue Music Podcast. And I'm really, really stoked to be adding a few more episodes. With me is Cody Landfeld. Go ahead and say hi, Cody.
Hey there. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so I've known Cody for quite a while during the Starflyer days. I want to say late 90s. I think I
Late
met you.
90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, met you at Calvary Chapel Bible College, I think, and we've just kind of always been friends. You've been friends with Josh Dooley. You've been friends with a lot of people. I want to say you were building their website. Is that right?
Yeah, and keeping the lights on velvetbluemusic.com. For better, for worse, Jeff's kept me around all this time.
Yep. So Cody is involved. He does have a lot of good insight, and he's way better spoken than I am. So I'm glad to have Cody. We just got done talking to Rob Withem, and he was our very first interviewee, and I think it was about 5 years ago. And so we thought, hey, let's talk to Rob. We haven't talked to him for a while. He released a record a few months ago, and let's get an update on him. So that's who we talked to for our first episode.
Yeah, and that I think it was unanimous in the group on Facebook with Velvet Blue. Just so many people chose I Felt Called by Fine China as their favorite record of 2025, at least from Velvet Blue. And just getting some of the backstory about how those songs came to be and hearing about Rob's writing process with that was really exciting. And, being a longtime fan of their band and the label, it's just really neat to see such a stellar album come out and hear more about how it came to be.
Yeah, and I also attempted to try to figure out what these songs were about lyrically, and I failed miserably. But we had a good conversation about some of the lyrics for the top 3 streamed songs via Spotify, and it was really really interesting. We also went over some of the geeky stuff. We know that a lot of listeners to VBM are probably musicians, so we talked about different pedals, different gear, different guitars, recording equipment, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and it was also exciting to hear some of the stories that he told and some of the questions that you all brought us as well from the group. So we got a chance to ask some of those and hear about Rob just telling some stories even about Red Strat and how some of the songs were put together and what some of the future plans are for Fine China as well.
Yep. So everybody sit back and listen. I hope you have a good time listening. We had a really good time conversing with Rob, and enjoy.
You're listening to the Velvet Blue Music Podcast. In each episode, Joey Escabel and Cody Landfeld sit down with a featured VBM artist and discuss one of their favourite records, the stories behind the songs, and other insights. Let's join Joey, Cody, and the featured guest on today's Velvet Blue Music Podcast.
So, Rob, I just wanted to thank you for our last episode because it was the first episode I've ever done on a podcast, but it ended up getting one of the most streamed. And I didn't expect that. I thought maybe about 700 streams or something like that. It pretty much doubled that. And a lot of people on the VBM, the Facebook board said it was one of their favorites. So I thought that was cool. And I appreciate you helping me boost my my podcasting, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for here?
Your
repertoire.
There we go. That sounds smart. But anyway, but I appreciate you doing that. And did you realize that you've been pumping out records for the last almost 30 years? Did you realize that?
I didn't really realize that. I saw that on your notes. Yeah, it's kind of a long time.
I remember when your first, I think it was just a 7-inch that came out, and that was back in, I want to say 98 or 97 or something. So
I think,
that's
I
coming
think
on
the
30
first
years.
stuff, yeah, I think the first stuff we put out was in 97.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. But we all appreciate you still hanging in there and putting out good music. And I want to even say that, and I'm not just saying this because I have to, right? Each record has been like, what am I thinking of here?
It's like a ladder,
Yeah, yeah,
and a higher rung each time.
exactly. Yeah. So
Well,
you're still in Arizona, is that right, Rob?
yeah, we're in Phoenix. I've been here since 1989. Yeah, many years.
Wow. Are you getting like so this is a weird saying this about Arizona. Are you getting like a hot spell right now? Because normally in Idaho it snows and we haven't had snow yet.
It's been a warmer winter for sure. This week has actually been kind of chilly though, but weirdly it hasn't frozen at all, which usually by this time of the year you've had a couple, like we've had to come out like, cover our garden a couple of times by now, but we haven't. It's been pretty mild. So it's been nice, been kind of rainy, and I don't know, it's been a nice winter. Yeah. It's the only reason why we keep living here, because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Right. Yeah, a normal winter for me is about it's like 18 degrees outside. It's gone down
Yeah.
to -2, but I don't know about you guys.
No, we're at like 39. The low today, I think, was like 39 or something, which is pretty cold for us, but pretty nice. Otherwise, it was
That's still
like
pretty
sunny.
chilly.
It was a beautiful day. It was sunny. Yeah, this is the time of year that we love.
Rob's, we talked about 30 years. Oh my gosh, man. I remember watching you all play at the Fire Escape
Oh
back in
yeah,
the 90s. That's probably about the same
Yeah.
time as the first EP, man. That's a long
Uh-huh.
time ago.
That was back in 96, 97. Yeah.
Wow. That was a cool little venue back then. So for me, the question I was curious about was to know, what's the most standout moment for you? Like we mentioned, there's a lot of EPs in the mix. There's full lengths here. There's a long span of music that's been put out. But could you kind of tell us about what is the most standout moment for you as an artist?
Wow, that's a hard question, man. Yeah, I don't know. There's over the course of so 97 to, so it's like 28 some odd years. Like there's just been a lot of different iterations of the band, and like different seasons where we were doing it a lot and seasons where I didn't do anything with it. So it's sort of, honestly, I can't really think of a standout thing. It's almost the opposite for Fine China. It's kind of just like continued alongside as part of my life, like really since right before I got married. So it's almost like I almost can't remember a time I wasn't doing it. And so that might be a bad thing. I might be like my worst mistake ever or something. I don't know, but it's just always sort of been there in the background, and or more time. There's times where it's been more in the foreground, and then years where it's in the background, and it's just like I always keep picking it back up. And there isn't one thing I could point to that's like a standout point, but I've really, it's become a really important part of me, just like keeping sane, and like in my older kind of middle age, not it's a way to deal with stress in some ways and anxiety, and like it's just a way to stay kind of healthy. Guys all have different stuff that they do in older age. Some guys do golf, some guys do whatever. This is kind of what I do, so it's just there, and I like it, and I'll keep doing it, as long as I can, I guess.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad answer to me. I think there's something about just having the stability of it, I think that we're not talking about climbing a ladder to get onto like some type of major label
No.
or, winning
That's
some big award or
yeah.
anything,
That's the beautiful thing about it to me, like that I a long time ago kind of hopped off that, very small ladder that wasn't going anywhere anyway. We've never had a lot of success, but we've had really dedicated fans that have been really kind to us, loved our music, but it's always been kind of more about just doing something that I like doing and that has some integrity. And like, I love that a few people, care about it. That is obviously great, but yeah, it's not about trying to be successful or, make it or whatever. It's really, it's an art project, whatever you want to call it. The band for me is just, it's like an outlet and a creative and an art project, and it just keeps going and morphing, and I kind of like that.
Oh,
I'm going to piggyback what you're saying, Rob. I think the standout part of that 30 years is that you're continuing to put out progressively good records, and I'm not just saying that. I think that you just get better and better. So, and that's hard, right? I mean, how many bands do you know that's been doing this for 30 years? And
Mhm.
usually it's kind of like, this record back in 2006 was better than the latest one, but I don't feel that way with Fine China.
It's weird. Like, you would sort of think if you do something for a long time, you would get better at it. At least you would kind of hope that, right? Like, if you do something for 30 years, I would hope that you, in some ways, are getting better and progressively at what you're doing. But I guess with music, that's not always the case. That may be because other things get in the way of it. And when it's just made for itself, maybe that kind of helps that not to happen,
Okay, well, perfect. So, we covered a lot of things in our first interview, but tell us a little bit about your relationship with Jeff Cloud. You don't have to go crazy into it, but
Yeah.
just briefly.
Yeah, so obviously he was the guy that kind of helped us get started way back in the early days, and that was just amazing and like a super unique kind of thing that helped us right out the gate, just right when we were starting, and then had a long period of time after we kind of left Velvet Blue, we're on Tooth and Nail and doing that we didn't really have a lot of contact with him, and then the band kind of folded for a number of years, 10, 11, 12 years, and didn't have really much contact with him at all. And then when we did Not Thrilled, I don't know, 2018, I just, I thought it would be really cool to have him put it out. And so I just kind of cold called him, hadn't talked to him in a long time, and he was excited to do it. So that was kind of when we got reconnected and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's just been a really good friend of the band for like our whole, the whole existence of the band. He's just been really cool to us. And yeah, the fact that he's willing to put these things out and like, do a double vinyl for a band of our very low stature is just is really unique, and like just feels more like kind of a family thing. And yeah, I'm super grateful for him. He's just always been a guy that's really like been taking an interest in us and what we do, and like just, has given us a way to put things out, which is really cool. So yeah,
it's amazing he's still doing it too. I think he's been doing it since.
He had a huge year last year. Like, he put out a lot of albums, and the year before putting out the new Starflyer. Like he's like
Right.
same thing. He's been doing it for 30 plus years, and like seems like he keeps getting better and better at what he's doing. But it's very much just a pure thing. He's not trying to break any records. He's just kind of putting out music that he loves, which is awesome. So yeah, I don't see him a lot. I saw him, we text and email and stuff. I think I saw him like a year ago out at Jason's house in Huntington Beach when I was doing some drums for the new Fine China album. Actually, I got to see him. So it's always fun to get to see him. And it's a rarity though. It's usually just kind of an electronic relationship at this point.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I was going to ask a follow-up question. So you mentioned going to Tooth and Nail and whatnot, and that sort of felt a little bit ascendant back in the day when you all did the VBM EPs, and then there was supposed to be a full length that came out, and that eventually came out on Tooth and Nail. With those two records, did Tooth and Nail ever have any big plans? Did you guys have any big plans for having a certain outcome while you were there, or what did that look like?
I mean, it seemed like a huge break to us at the time, obviously, like going from, super indie kind of like nobody could get your albums to like, when you're on Tooth and Nail, like you could see your albums at like Best Buy, and like that was really odd.
Virgin Megastore.
I mean, we never felt like a huge band. It felt like really out of our league in a lot of ways, So as I thought about it over the years, I feel like it was a really weird thing that we even ever got on that label and had that kind of distribution for what it just was kind of wild, So we weren't surprised at all that it was short lived. We weren't, we were never a band that was like super ambitious in that sense. And maybe we should have been or something, but I always just wanted to put out records, and like I liked recording and songwriting. I never loved playing all the shows, and Tooth and Nail did want their bands at that time to like play a lot of shows, and like we just never could do that. And so I think that's probably the main thing that hindered us. Like they loved our band and they were really kind to us, and like it's just kind of wild that they did what they did with a small band like us. But at the end of the day, like, we weren't going to be, making them a lot of money or anything. And it was amazing that they put two of our albums out when they did. So I've always just been really grateful for that time period. I think it probably helped our band have the longevity that we've had after. It kind of bumped us up to a little level where we had enough of a fan base going forward because of that it's kept us afloat, somewhat.
Yeah. And then I remember you doing the thing with Chucky also with
right.
Commonwealth. That was what was that?
Yeah, he's a local guy here in Phoenix, a good longtime friend of mine, and kind of like music patron guy. He was in some really pretty successful bands as well, and he had a label for a while called Commonwealth. So he put out the Jaws of Life, and really like that was a little bit different experience, like because it was just there was kind of a lot of energy and a lot of money behind it. And he really, he spent a lot of money making the album. We had a lot more time in the studio. I was able to take off work for like a month and just like work on the album, which was like I'd never been able to do that kind of thing before. So that was cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so, but again, it was maybe a year or a year and a half of time, and then kind of, at that point it just felt like we probably talked about this maybe even on the last podcast, but it was one of those things where I think everybody in the band felt like, um, stuff in our regular lives were like really ramping up. It like everybody was married by that point, everybody was starting to have kids. We all had kind of regular jobs, and like it was just really hard to keep the energy up for the band, and like. Um, yeah, it just felt like an effort in futility a little bit. And I was, just kind of tired. So that's kind of why we put it down. Chuck, he put out so I did that Foxglove Hunt album right after Fine China stopped. Like I still had some songs and he wanted to do that. So that was kind of the next, it was like not Fine China, but it was kind of the next thing I did with him.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was, again, we were really grateful for that. He got us a lot of publicity. He got us some really cool placements on some shows and stuff that were helpful. And yeah, it was different but cool.
Awesome. Yeah. I wanted to move on to, you mentioned Jason Martin here. You guys are pretty good friends, right? Is he
Mhm.
one of your best friends?
Yeah, we've kept I've known him probably longer than most of the friends in my life at this point. I got to know him back in like in 1997 when we toured with Starflyer a couple times that year, and spent a lot of time. And then obviously through that, and we were just always around. And there was many years where we kind of were not connected. And then I don't know, back around maybe around the time I was starting Not Thrilled, we kind of got reconnected and have spent a lot of time together since that point. Yeah, so we get along really well, and I just I enjoy him just as a person. We have a lot of parallels in our lives, like. He just had a grandbaby. I had a grandbaby. Like it's just kind of it's fun to have
Holy
somebody
cow.
at your same stage. Yeah.
So you're a grandfather. I can't
I
believe
am.
that.
I am. Yeah. My oldest son,
nuts.
Sam, they had a baby just a year ago. She just turned 1.
Man, congratulations.
Wow.
That's so
Thank you.
great.
Yeah. It's rad.
Yeah, but the Martin household, right? Do they are you like Uncle Rob now? I mean, does Charlie
I don't think
and
I don't think they're getting all weird.
nothing like that?
Nothing weird like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, man. Yeah. So what's it like working with Charlie? Because I remember the day when he was born,
But yeah.
and Charlie or Jason was so ecstatic, and now
That's just-
he's working
yeah.
with you.
It's just weird when you get old and your friends' kids who you knew as a baby are like adults. It's really bizarre. But but cool. I mean, Charlie, the Martins have done a great job with their kids. Like Charlie has a great relationship with them and with Jason, and that's kind of what you
Mhm.
want for your sons, especially. I've been blessed with that too. My 2 older sons are, adults, and like they're like my best friends, and they work for me, and we just hang out all the time. So they kind of have that going over there too, which is really cool.
That's
Yeah,
really cool.
Chuck is a really this is the first time that we had done drums with somebody else. Tom Walsh had been in the band for many, many years and done drums, and just for a variety of reasons, it ended up kind of just being me on this thing, partially because I had just been working on it by myself for like 2 years, and I kind of had everything already mapped out. So yeah, it kind of gets, some of it's like my songwriting process a lot of times ends up really writing the drums and everything, and it becomes it's not like jam oriented or like we're in a room with guys anymore, because
Mhm.
that's just not the way that I'm able to work.
And
Like
I want to say
yeah. So
you-
go
you're
ahead.
you're an established drummer as well, too, right?
I played a lot of
Like
drums, yeah. So I can make my way around on it, and so it was the kind of thing where like I knew exactly what I wanted the drums to sound like, and the parts were already all like kind of demoed out. And
Mhm.
Chuck is perfect for that, because he's really a great studio drummer, because he's just like a one take guy. He plays really clean. He like knows how to hit the drums and makes recording
Mhm.
really easy. And so
I consider him like a freight train. The guy was just
awesome.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
there was not a point where he was lagging. He just carried all the songs from
Oh, yeah.
beginning to end, and I appreciated that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted the drums are a little bit different on this record. Probably nobody can tell, but I wanted to have a really like tight snare drum, kind of more of like a 90s snare sound, like where the drums are
Yeah.
really clean and like not 70s dirty at all, but like very hi-fi kind of drums. So his playing really kind of helped with that. So we recorded those out at Jason's house with Chuck. Jason has a really nice room and a good setup for doing drums. So we took 2 or 3 days and just did them out there, and then just kind of like brought all the tracks in to my studio after that. It was a great experience. Yeah.
And you're I don't want to get too deep into the geekiness of recording, but you were playing along as he was to probably do a
Not
click
really,
track
man.
or
I
something
mean,
to that.
so the way I work, like I've got the songs. I don't even really call them demos. Like I'm writing the songs in Logic basically, and like a lot of so then I sent all the tracks out to Jason, and so Chuck's playing along with the kind of finished song. Basically, I wasn't, I'm not in there doing a scratch guitar or anything. It's all kind of there, so he's able to kind of hear the finished other parts and play with them.
Okay.
in
Yeah.
the studio.
How old is that guy anyway? Is he I want to see he's like 22 or something.
I think Chuck's like 24, man. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I was just really impressed, and I don't consider myself an amazing drummer, but I know what an amazing drummer sounds like, and that's Charlie. So
He's just solid. He has no ego. He has none of the trippings of, that make things difficult. He doesn't have those things. So it made it really
no
good.
band member personality. That's amazing in and of
Yeah.
itself.
I'm too old for that. I don't need
Cody,
that.
did you want to add anything before I move on to the next thing?
No, I'm good. I mean, mainly just a remark about, I did pick up on the drum sound. I mean, it's just, they sound big. It's not typical Fine China on this one. I mean, the drums sound good on Not Thrilled, of course. They sound good on Jaws of Life, much better than the first 2 full lengths. But yeah, just a really big sound. You really can't tell as a listener. It's kind of like, it does sound very early 90s, almost like, I'm trying to think of like, some of those alternative bands that were coming out that had that big drum sound that was just super clean and compressed. And that's what it reminds me of.
I mean, this is real geeking out, but I was like really obsessed for a while with, this is really dumb, but the Crash Test Dummies, their big single, or whatever.
Hey, dude, that's
I got really obsessed like 3 or 4 years ago with that track and just the whole production of it, and like the drums are incredible, and like it's just really natural. A lot of the, in the 90s they were trying to get like really natural kind of drum sounds, and the snares were all kind of tighter. It wasn't trying to be like, everybody's been doing the 70s drum kit thing for so long, and I just was like, I want to do something a little cleaner. And so I got
like Phil Collins has that sound too. Like I tend to go back to his.
You guys are
stuff.
talking about my forbidden pleasures, Phil Collins, and I never admitted to anybody because they would have made fun of me. Crash Test Dummies.
Man,
That
it's got some bangers
song.
on there.
Yeah. So when we tried in the production side to get use the right snare drum and just the typical things we didn't do. We used a different snare and like really cranked that thing. You got to kind of mic and play it a certain way, and then in the studio here where I mix with Fine Blanket, Bob is really good at making sure that was carried through, because you can record the drums one way and then end up after you mix having to be totally different. And I just didn't want it. I didn't want it to like snap back to the way that it had kind of sounded before. I wanted it to be kind of weird and just really upfront and clean.
Awesome, man. Yeah, well, I agree with Cody. It's amazing how you could make these big sounding records in your house. I remember back in the day, you needed to be in a real studio.
Yeah, no.
With a huge mixing board, and it's just amazing where we've gotten. So,
yeah.
Totally. But I wanted to move on. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just wanted to move on straight to your record. Last time we were talking about your whole career going up to Not Thrilled, but I just wanted to focus on the one record. Before any of the music, tell me about the artwork. I was really like infatuated with the artwork that you chose for the record.
The cover?
Yeah,
I've done the covers myself. I don't know, since I guess Not Thrilled. Before that, I always had other random people doing it, and I really never liked the covers that we had for various reasons. So I don't know.
Really?
When I started producing stuff myself, I'm like, I'll just do it. I'm not good at it or anything, but I kind of know what I want to see. So yeah, I love the artist whose image on the cover. I think his name's Leon Bakst. He's like a Russian guy from like late 1800s, early 1900s. He was an artist who did like stage design for like ballets, but he would do art and then they would sort of translate that into the stages. But I just liked I loved there's just color and like the kind of mysterious, things going on that I don't know. It's sort of impressionistic, but I always like when album covers kind of in a disconnected way kind of somehow captured what's happening in the music, and I felt like that image for the cover sort of did that.
And it's funny you mentioned that because I kind of felt like that, like, and we'll get into your songs in a second, but I felt like, so for those who are listening and you can't see anything, it's basically like what Rob said, a very, very colorful painting. But at the far bottom, there's these kind of innocent girls just kind of having fun, probably walking in areas where they shouldn't be walking.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I don't know.
it still looks beautiful to the eye,
Yeah.
but around a big rock, there's like a demon or the devil like ready to pounce, on these
Right.
girls. And
Yeah,
I
all his
thought
stuff. Yeah, all of that guy's stuff has that kind of dark, kind of a mysterious and maybe ominous kind of vibe to it, which I sort of like. And I like that in music
yeah,
too. I like music that's kind of it's happy, but it's got like a dark kind of underbelly to
mhm.
it.
And that
And
was
that's
going to be my question to see if it was, it was intentional, not just because it looked cool. So it was intentional.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I
go ahead,
love
Cody. Sorry.
albums where the art and everything is all one kind of thing, and so I've tried to do that, not successfully always, but I do like, especially when we're getting to do like physical copies, which is really cool on the vinyl. So I was thinking about, okay, what do I want this thing to like look and kind of feel like in your hands,
Go ahead, Cody. I cut you off. Did you want to
No, it's cool.
add
I was
something?
just going to ask that was the same artist on the cover of both the singles as well.
Yeah, there were different pieces by the same guy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just kind of grabbed the ones that I really liked, and they're old enough where they're like public domain, so you're not like having to worry about like copywriting stuff. So yeah, that's good.
Cool,
Yeah,
man.
that's good. No litigation. We don't need any litigation.
Yeah, we don't need that right now.
The shut down Jeff
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's easy to do now, man. I mean, people are just suing like crazy for, I was even going to ask you, Rob, if I could get snippets of your music because I didn't want you to sue me, for this.
Dude, I'm suing
Cease and
everybody.
desist.
Yeah.
Yes. But well, let's move on. So you mentioned your original lineup. So we got Greg Markov, Josh, Block is his last name. I remember Block was
Yeah.
great to hang out with.
Yep.
Tom and did they also contribute? Did Josh Dooley? I know Josh is kind of like a kind of a member of Fine China, but did he contribute as well?
No, so this one was again, it was kind of different. I played most everything. I didn't play the drums. Charlie played the drums, and then my daughter Lydia played a lot of the pianos and a lot of the keyboard, some of the keyboard stuff she did. And then my cousin is this guy named Jonathan that has done percussion for me the last few things I put out. So he came in and did percussion on the album.
On some of the breakdowns and stuff.
Yeah,
Right, that's
anything that you
pretty cool.
hear that's percussion, that's not drums, was basically him. So yeah, it was really just the four of us. So it was a little different in that regard. And again, I think it was just because the nature of this album was just me working by myself for like 2 years, and it was kind of like I didn't need a lot of other hands, in it. It just kind of was how it came out. So
Are you planning to use the other guys as well, like in the future or future projects, or you haven't even gotten there yet?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just what it's part of the length of the band too. It's just the years of us, doing shows and getting together are just way in the rear view. So like the effort of getting everybody together, and like not everybody is playing, very much anymore either. It's hard. So yeah, it's more just about expediency, really. Like I'm here at my house and this is where I record and write. And so it's just like, just makes sense, for me to do it this way right now. I enjoy it. It makes it really low stress. I love those guys, and we had a super fun time for many, many years. But yeah, I don't know. I think probably those days are. I mean, who knows if there'll even be another Fine China album either? So might not.
Oh,
Even,
don't say that.
not even that.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare say that. I think Josh saw Markov over there at the Oasis concert out over there at the Rose Bowl. So that was pretty cool.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Well, he was there
Yeah.
too. We must have gone on a different night. I went to the first night.
I think Greg went on the second night with he went out there with his brother. Yeah. They went
I was watching it live on YouTube, so
really,
that's all I could
nuts,
afford.
man.
So I'm living out here in Idaho. It's hard to go anywhere. And,
yeah.
Yeah, it was a trek, man.
Yeah.
did you want to say something else, Cody, before we move on to the next part?
Yeah, I think only just, man, I hate to blow smoke up your rear, man, but I think the The live concerts have really come a long way since back in the day, man. I mean, like I said, I remember seeing you guys way back in the 90s, but it's super fun to see you guys play live. And I think a lot of folks enjoy that. So, I'm probably one of the more annoying guys that'll comment on an Instagram post like, "Hey, we need to get a new live show in
Yeah.
Phoenix or something." Are there any plans for
We
that?
don't
Or
have no, we don't really have any plans for that. I mean, the last number of shows we've done have been with the Ocean Blue, and those were just like opportunities to play a really good show where, there's going to be a lot of people there, and like that's fun. At this age, playing a show for 10 people is not what I need.
yeah,
I don't need that.
It's
Yeah.
just not super fun. And the amount, again, it goes back to the amount of effort when like you're not really a band that's playing a lot. The amount you don't really think about it when you go see a band, but the amount of effort to like go from not playing any shows for 3 years to like doing a show to like not have it be a disaster is like it's a lot, man. So yeah, it just felt like those last few was like, dang, this is a lot of work up front, a lot of nights away from the family and stuff to like get ready for this one little gig. But they were really fun. I probably enjoyed those shows more than I enjoyed lots of shows we were playing back in the day for a lot of different reasons.
yeah.
More comfortable and yeah. So who knows? I'm not saying we won't do something. There's always the off chance that we'll do something, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have any plans for it right now.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I got a funny story about you and the Ocean Blue. So I have a friend named Shane Casada, and he's a really big Ocean Blue fan. And so he calls me I think about 2 years ago. He's like, hey, Joe, I went to go see the Ocean Blue. There's a band I think you'll really like, man. It's a band it's called Fine China.
That's hilarious.
Have you ever listened, man? They like, they were great openers. And so I responded with the Velvet Blue episode, link.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I listened to this. And then he was like, oh, it's a small world, I guess.
That's so funny. Yeah. No, those were really, it was fun hanging with those dudes and, really good shows. And that band is they're continuing to just do it, They've been around since the
80s, right? Like mid 80s?
I think their first album maybe came out in like 87 or 88 or something.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah. They're great. They're really cool people and just like a great band. Yeah. I love those guys.
Yeah.
Is it the same lineup since back then?
Not from the original, no. So the main guy, David Shelzel, obviously is the same, and then their bass player Bobby has been there from the beginning. And then I think the original drummer hasn't been in the band for a long time. He's the guy that played on like the first 3 or 4 albums, and then they had kind of a hiatus for a while, and then kind of similar to us, and then kind of came back and started doing stuff. So they have a couple of new guys from the original lineup, but those guys now they've been in the band for 20 some years too. So
yeah, they probably have you on auto redial, right? Like if ever they're in the area and they need an opener.
We'll email. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's usually what we do if they got something cooking, in the region or in the area. Yeah, we like to connect. So
cool, man. Cool. Well, I'm going to move on to the next part here. So this part we want to talk about. Well, I guess we could talk about kind of the mood. Let's talk about the mood of the album here, right?
Mhm.
So I guess you've always done this, right? You've always done this where you write really, really happy sounding songs, but then when you start like reading the lyrics, it's the lyrics aren't as happy. It's just very
right.
very honest, right? You're really kind of open about telling people how you're feeling, like whether it being stressed or sad or frustrated. That's always been kind of your style. I just never noticed that.
Yeah. People have asked me in the last year about the lyric component more than I've been asked about it before. And I really don't, I don't know. I'm not really like a lyric guy in the sense like some songwriters are starting with lyrics and they have, notebooks and they're writing essentially poetry. I have always found that to be just like absurdly awkward and like never been able to ever. I've never done that since the beginning. I've had to find weird ways to work with the whole like lyrics part because I really don't like it, and it didn't ever come natural to me. I've never like sat down and been like, I'm gonna write a song about this. So for me, it's like, I'm not like mystical about songwriting like at all. I'm much more like a construction guy approach. Like I'm making songs, like we're gonna we're gonna put
Like
this thing there.
Jason
I mean,
Martin's,
in a
Jason
way,
Martin
yeah.
was like that.
However, like weirdly, the lyrical part does sometimes surprise me. Like I pretty much just kind of like sing nonsense as I'm writing these songs, and I capture it for the melodies. I'm trying to get a melody, and when you're singing, there's melody, there's phrasing, there's rhythmic elements that are all part of the composition of a vocal. But
Okay.
it's never driven by like, oh, I've got these words for the most part. There might be a hook or like something, a chorus thing or something. But somehow when I get to where I've got to actually record vocals and I actually have to like, write them down. So I'm going into the studio, and like when I do vocals with Bob and Flying Blanket, he like wants to have like sheets for each song so he can like make notes where he wants me to go back to or whatever. So there's always a time where like, oh shoot, I've got to like do this and write some lyrics. And it's usually more like if you did like when you were a kid, like the connect the dots thing, like that's kind of how I've looked at writing lyrics. It's kind of weird, like connecting some dots, and like most of the time weirdly it's like, okay, that's something, it's not fake, but it's not me trying to be like lyric guy either. I don't really know how it happens.
Yeah. I think that makes sense with what you were saying earlier, Rob, with, this is your outlet. So it's kind of the catharsis or the therapeutic, to use all those, therapy terms. But it makes sense, because the themes of the albums and the certain songs, like it's just working out stuff and, that's related to stress or all these emotions.
Probably.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. So it's like it kind of just happens that way, and I never really am super happy with it, and then it just takes a little bit of time, and I get some distance, and I'm like, all right, I sort of make peace with the lyrical part of it.
Right. Can I give you a summary of what I think this album? And now again, you just said like each song is probably a different theme or whatever, but I kind of, and maybe I'm wearing my Christian glasses, right? But the whole record just kind of seemed like, I think it was in Romans, I think 8 or 7 or 8, where it talked about the body, or the battle between, the flesh and the spirit, how Paul wanted to do righteous things. He wanted to do, things that are pleasing to the Lord, but sin's like kind of crouching at the door and takes over. It seemed like throughout all of the songs, like that was kind of the theme. Am I right, or am I way off?
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, isn't that kind of all of our life in a way? Yeah, I don't know. I think usually the album title for me is a way to try to kind of bring some sort of unifying principle of some sort to the whole effort. So, I think, when you get older, in my case, having a lot of kids, my kids are getting older. They're starting to move out and do their own thing, and there's kind of a sense of like your life becoming like less important in a weird way. Like when you're in the thick of it with little kids and like everything's kind of about you, especially as the dad, and you're like you're the guy, you're the dude. Like you're making the money, you're bringing it in. Like everything is kind of rotating around you, and as that starts, it happens really gradually. But your family still does rotate around you, but not in the same kind of ways. It sort of starts. You start to feel like a lot less important, and that was kind of I don't know, the idea of like you thought I thought I was like the called guy or whatever. You realize,
and that's what what you meant by I feel called. Like that's what
feel called is, like the ultimate Christian cliche. I get my mind when you're talking to Christians and they're like, I felt called to do this, or so part of it's kind of like the weird flip side of that. But like I always kind of like rage a little bit when you're talking to people to Christians, and they want to tell you like all the things that they felt called to, which is usually just what they want to do, and they want you kind of want to put God's like
to affirm it.
They want to kind of name and claim that it's what God's telling them to do, and in reality, most of the time, it's like just what they want to do. So it's like, why don't you just say it's what you want to do? But like the flip side of that is kind of like feeling like, oh man, I thought I was like the guy and was called, and like now I'm really not the guy, and that's kind of a nice realization to come to too. It's kind of relaxing a little bit.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that, Cody. Do you want to add anything before I move on to the next thing?
No, I think that's kind of a similar observation I'm going through. I mean, I have kids in their 20s. It is a strange thing to look around and go, man, I'm doing this thing for 20, 30 years, and all of a sudden it's changing. Life is changing, seasons are changing. So thanks for sharing that. That makes sense.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I want to even say I think it's probably not my I think the whole record's great, right? But I really the song "Like It or Not" is kind of
Hmm.
like what you're saying right now, right? Like
Hmm.
like the kids are at home, they're doing their own thing. Um, there's like a there's almost like a sense of, you kind of feel like, did I do everything correctly? Did I
Yeah.
did is that kind of
Yeah. Oh yeah.
what
Yeah. I mean, that's major when your kids start going out on their own and like you can't you can't fix everything anymore. And by
Mhm.
God's grace, my kids are all doing great. I mean, there's no like, there's nothing scandalous happening with my children or anything like that. But it's more just like things that you kind of ruminate on and just that process of becoming. It's weird because you do become much less important to your kids, but you're still really important in some ways. As
Mhm.
we kind of, I think everybody who's our age has things about their parents. My parents have both passed away, but things about your
Mhm.
parents that you sort of wish they would do and be for you. And then you're sort of you should be taking notes about like, okay, this is how I'm going to try to do this better. But nobody ever does a great job of it either. It's
Mhm.
impossible. So you just have to.
Mhm.
For us, it's just like God has been really gracious, and our kids are doing great, and like we want to support them now and see them like launch out. And a lot of that,
Mhm.
there's not much more you can do.
Amen, man. That's awesome. Yeah, but my oldest one is 15. They're starting
Okay,
to
yeah, you're getting right there,
turn
man.
that way. They're
Yeah,
starting to, but I have a 10-year-old. It makes me feel like a dad, and
yeah.
I'm he still
I
wants to
mean, I
hold
still
my
have a
hand and stuff.
6-year-old
So
too, so I'm not like out of it. So I'm not out of
yeah, you're.
the mix
Oh,
yet.
okay, that's right. I
I'm gonna
didn't.
be in it.
So man, so that must have been right after our first episode, right? I mean,
What year did
did
we do
you
that
did?
first one?
So we did that right at 2020. I don't know what
Yeah,
month it
he
was, but it
was
was right when the
Asher.
pandemic happened.
Asher, our little one, was born in October of 2019. Yep,
Oh wow.
Oh, I
yep,
didn't even know that. That's great.
yep. So
Yeah, kids are fun.
he's our number 6 little caboose guy.
Well, let's see. In my effort not to make this 2 hours, I'm just going to move on, guys. I'm enjoying this conversation, but I'm going to move on to the next part. Um, okay, so this was Cody's idea. Cody said instead of going song by song, let's get the top 3 most streamed songs on Spotify.
Okay.
And yeah, and the number one, did you know this? The number one song that was streamed off of your record is Fraught with Danger.
I did not know that. I don't
Yeah,
want. I
so
don't.
according now
Oh, you're
they
not
don't give
checking all the
us
I'm not.
stats,
I don't. I'm
Rob?
not,
You're not on there, all in there, like,
not doing that.
seeing where it's at?
I can't. I can't handle that, man. I can't handle the disappointment.
Well, so that song, now that's one of the songs I was talking about earlier where um it's very, very upbeat. You got,
Hmm.
very energetic, the fine china sound that we all hope and expect. But the lyrics are very kind of somber, kind of surprising for the type of song, right? Like I think the song's about how the danger that you're talking about is probably the wrath of God because you're reading these books from thousands of people, like even the scriptures, probably Athanasius, probably a bunch of different scholars, and the danger seems like, shoot, if I'm not living righteously, let's say, then you almost kind of feel like God's the danger in a sense. Am I correct? Way
But
off
no,
or
I don't think that was at all what's going on there. But I mean,
okay?
that is for you, man. That's fine.
Yeah. Again, I
No,
do have Christian glasses on a lot, so
yeah, no. I think again, I'm not a lyric guy. I didn't set out to write a song about something, but I think if I had to attach it to some idea, it would just be like that. Um, Again, being and getting older, like just things in your life end up being way more difficult than you ever kind of imagine. Like when you get married to your wife and you're like making those vows and like talking about sickness and health, rich and poor, all of those things, like
mhm,
you have literally no idea like what is going to transpire in your life in the next 20, 30 years and how dangerous and difficult and devastating and how much you are going to be weathered by some of those things. So that's just been kind of the story of our life in our home the last 10 years. We've had a lot of just illness and different things that have been tough. And yeah, those are things you don't really when you're 20 and getting married and
Mhm.
stoked on life. You have no way to know how difficult and how good, but how difficult some of it's going to be.
Mhm. And you still own your own business too. So you got the illness, you got your business, and you're trying to
Yeah.
be a cool dad where the kids like you, right? So you're trying to be a good dad and
Well, yeah, you want to be a good dad. I don't know if that's how you make your kids like you over the course of their life. But no, yeah, it's just things happen. Everybody has a different journey. Ours has had a lot of like kind of crazy stuff that's happened that have been kind of harder than we expected. So that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, I think one of the things that would be good to know about all of these songs actually, you mentioned earlier that you start the songs sort of with the musical components, maybe the melody. What is it that got this song started for you?
That's a
How
good
did it
question.
come up?
This song was actually a holdover from Not Thrilled. Weirdly, I wrote it. It was one sort of songwriter process stuff. Like it was one of those songs like I couldn't solve it. It was just a really hard one to figure out how to finish. So it's kind of in a weird time signature, which I don't usually do. It's like it's the verses are in like 5/4 or 7/4 or something. I don't know. And so it's just one of those like I had the main riff and I liked it, but I couldn't figure out how to make it into like a song. And so I just kind of shelved it after Not Thrilled. But I knew that I really liked it and that it had something that I wanted to kind of work with later. So when I started kind of working through some of my usually when I start a record, I'll kind of go back and see, okay, are there any strands of what I was working on before that could do something here? And it was one that I was like, all right, I've got to figure this one out. So I ended up figuring it out in a way that made me happy. And I ended up putting it on there. It kind of has a vibe of like, I don't know, like just those real like a really upbeat Sundays song or something, that I love that are just really melodic and like have good energy and like I love those kind of jams. But I always like to have a little darkness in there too.
Did you now you said it was kind of left over. Was it already
Yeah.
recorded then? And then
I mean,
you
I had
just added
some
Charlie
of it
to
was not the drums or anything. A lot of the guitars were recorded. So what I'll do in that kind of case is I ended up like, bringing the session back up here and then I ended up re-recording a lot of the stuff, but a lot of the parts, the basic riff of the verses I had and like the parts around that were there. And then I ended up adding a chorus and, figuring out the bridge. I don't know. It's just some songs are hard to finish, but they've got enough going where you don't want to just like throw them out. So that was kind of one of those. So I was happy to figure it out and felt it was good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Thank you.
Cool, man. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, so I guess anything else before I move to the next song, Cody?
I think that's it.
Okay. So the next most streamed song from I Felt Called is Television Set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was the second most, and it's my favorite. And I want to say it was that the first song on the record? I forget.
That is track one. Yeah, that was one of the last songs that I wrote for the album too. It was kind of a later one in the process. So yeah, I wanted I have a lot of really long kind of meandering songs on there. I was like, I need a track one. I didn't really have a track one that I liked. So yeah, I had like the main like guitar riff from a while ago. It probably weirdly was a song that wouldn't have happened unless I would have done that Red Strat thing. It kind of has a Red Strat-esque kind of like riff at the beginning. It was one of those.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you do those other weird side projects, there's little things that you bring over, from that.
Right. Yeah. And as a drummer, it was really weird because when you hear the riff, you think the drums and the song's going to kick in a different way.
Oh,
and then
right.
it kind of comes in like almost like in an offbeat, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I love that. That was really cool. Yeah. The riff sounded really cool. What guitar did you use for that? Was that your Tele or?
This is a Telecaster just through a Fender Deluxe. Okay. Just super basic, pretty thin. Yeah, I like those kind of Tele sounds.
Yeah, and in the middle, towards the end, the harmonic breakdown was just like perfect. Did you do all the harmonies? Did you get Lydia to come in and sing some things?
Oh, nobody else sang. No, Lydia doesn't. She won't sing. I tried to get her.
She won't sing. Okay. But she was working. She was doing the keys on this one as well. And Charlie.
I don't know if she did any keys on that one, but she did a bunch of keys on other songs. Any of the piano stuff. It's like real piano. So she did that. We recorded that in here.
Oh wow.
But yeah, no, that was. Yeah, that was
And you're doing the solo, right? Did I hear some shredding at the end? Or
probably.
was that you shredding?
There's probably
I've never
there
heard
might
that
be some
before, but
shredding happening. Yeah, I've got some
that
guitar
was
solos on here. I just I used to stay away from that stuff. I just kind of like doing. I just like a lot of guitar on there, man. I just like to throw a lot of guitars because that's what I like doing. So there's probably too
yeah,
much.
it was shocking, and you did it perfect. Like the shredding part, it happened like right at the end of the solo, so you're just like, whoa, what's it, and before everything
Right.
drops out.
So, yeah,
Um,
that stuff is stupid but kind of fun.
right. Sorry, Cody, did you want to say something?
No, I mean, I guess I'll have the same. I'll run back the same question on all of these songs.
Okay.
There's a theme here with the television sets being my interpretation. I think Joey's interpretation too is like it's almost like an idol. It's like we kind of bow down to the TV and spend a lot of our time in front of the TV. So, what is it that got what would you say the theme was for the song for you, and how did you get? And I guess the second part of the question is the same question I asked before: is what got this song started?
Mm. Well, the second one, I guess I had the riff for the main riff for like the intro and the verses I had on like a voice notes thing, like on my acoustic guitar in the living room from a couple of years ago, a few years ago. I had just had that hanging around. A lot of my songs will start with like something a little snippet that I've got in my voice notes. So I've kind of always got that thing ready to go, in case I have a little idea. I've got guitars like all over the house and stuff. So if something strikes me, I usually try to capture because I forget it because I'm old. I hate that when you like have something and then you like, I cannot remember it. Oh, so I'm always like ready to go with the voice notes. So yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then lyrically it wasn't, it's probably more, I don't know if it's really, there's like a theme of idolatry in there and kind of calling back to like Moses on the mountain and stuff. Which I always like, I like that weird biblical kind of imagery. It's probably more like about nostalgia, just like, I have like great memories of like watching TV as a kid actually. So it's almost more of a positive thing than it is a negative thing. Like there was something really simple when you were like a kid and like you're sitting down with like your TV tray in 1985 and like watching MacGyver, like while you eat dinner or something is like there's kind of a nice, an innocent nostalgia to that I have good memories of that.
Your Capri Sun, you got your Capri Sun and you got
well, my
your
mom
TV.
wouldn't buy those for us. She would do high C because they were cheaper. She wouldn't do the Capri Suns, man. Those were the rich kids.
Those are the worst, man.
The rich kids got
hated those.
Man. Yeah, high C, yeah. But so it's more just kind of like wanting to. I'm a pretty nostalgic person, so I'm always like, I always foolishly think it was like better back then. I think the Bible says you're not supposed to do that.
Cody, I got to correct you though, right? I thought the idolatry was the world around Rob, but he would go to the TV, in order to escape all of the craziness.
Yeah, that's probably that's probably more what it is. Yeah.
And to let you know, like we kind of do the same. You probably didn't mean television, like for reals, but I'll do that with my kids. Like we'll sit there and watch Columbo. We'll sit and watch The Twilight Zone. I Love Lucy, and just to kind of, I would never let them. Yeah, I just wouldn't let them say like, "Oh, here's Netflix. Watch whatever you want," because they just end up getting crazy.
But man, old TV is brilliant, dude. Yeah, it's like the Andy Griffith Show. You can't beat that.
Oh yeah,
can't beat it.
Cool, man. I'll move on to the third one, unless you wanted to say something else.
No.
From the last one. But so the third most streamed song from I Felt Called is I Felt Called.
Really?
So that was weird. The third one.
Are you sure? That's weird.
Yeah, that's according to Spotify.
Wow, that's kind of surprising.
And I even looked up through perplexity.ai to confirm it, and they said the same thing.
So the gods of AI gave you their blessing on that calculation.
You just don't know if they're lying or not. It's funny, but I did check different sources, so because this is going out to the public, I don't want to look like an idiot.
That's right.
Yeah, but I Felt Called. I love the synth intro. It's really cool. Again, this is one of the most somber songs of the record, which
Mhm.
I'm kind of a melancholy guy, so I like the sadder songs
Right.
a lot. And I think it's kind of, I don't know if you agree, Cody, but it's kind of more distinct from the other songs, except for the acoustic
Mhm.
song
Mhm.
that you had. I think it was Pedal to the Metal.
Mhm.
I think it was one of the more distinct ones.
Yeah, it's a slow jam, dude. You know, every
Yeah.
record's got to have a couple slow jams. I wanted as part of the production idea on this album was like I really love a lot of the like mid to late '80s, kind of like Suzanne Vega or like Kate Bush or like Shona Lang, like those kind of really orchestrated kind of but electronic kind of pop albums that had really cool production and like a lot of ambiance and stuff. So that was
Hmm.
kind of what on some of the tracks I was trying to do. Like I used a lot of samples of like string plucking and like a lot of those artists in that era would use this they would use, you know, just heavy samples for stuff. It wasn't just like synths, but it was like real instruments that were sampled and like chopped up and stuff. So that you've got that main kind of riff is kind of that sort of sound. But yeah, and it's like has so much reverb. I mean, it has like way too much reverb on it, but I kind of liked it. I think Bob Hogue mixed it while I was like out getting a hamburger or something, and I came back and was like, dude, this has so much reverb on it. Like you've got to back it off. And he was like, okay, that's how I knew I was on the right track. He's like, I thought you might come back and say that. So he backed it off
That's
just a
funny.
hair. But yeah, it's like you're like washed in that thing, you know,
Hmm.
swimming
Hmm.
around.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it reminds me of a lot of those movies back in the day, those string parts.
Yeah.
Kind of like OMD
Uh-huh.
in
Yeah.
some of those old 80s movies, you know, how they had the real serious synth sounds. So I
Yeah.
totally hear that throughout the
Yeah.
record.
The adult synth sounds. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I was
Don't
trying to
laugh
do.
at me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Oh,
Rob.
go ahead. No, you.
I was gonna say, don't laugh at me. I don't know why I thought about Madonna's "Crazy for You" when I listened to
No,
the
dude,
synth
I love
part.
that. I love Crazy for
Okay.
You. I love Cherish. Yeah, that I was those kind of songs were like what I was sort of, you know, trying to channel in this
Hmm.
thing, you know.
Yeah, and I may or may not have had a crush on her, like when I was a kid.
Oh,
So,
that's dark, man. That's pretty
so
dark.
that was probably in my head from when I was a kid watching MTV
Yeah.
when MTV was MTV, right?
Right. Yeah, didn't it just
Rest in
close
But
down?
peace.
I think it just closed down like this week, right?
It did,
no,
yeah.
like a month ago, man. I can't believe it. Um, yeah, but I think I had a lyrical summary of it, but I think you shut that down already. Like, tell me when you said I felt called. It's not like, no, not to rip on the Calvary Chapels, right? It's not oh man, the Lord's calling me to be a podcast guy or something. It's just what does the I felt called really
It's
mean?
just like questioning like uh, you know, questioning the I don't even know how to say it. It's again, it kind of goes back to like when you're young, you feel like you have everything kind of lined out, and I don't know. At least I did. Um, I thought that I knew a lot at a pretty young age and had stuff together, and like that I was doing everything right. And then there comes a point, at least for me, where it wasn't any catastrophe or anything, but it was just like I don't really know as much as I think I know about a lot of stuff. And in some ways, it's kind of like if you want to get biblical, kind of like the John the Baptist being like, "I need to decrease so Christ can increase." It's kind of like it came to a point where I just realized like I need to back off of the things that I think about myself and like my calling and
Hmm.
everything, and like that I'm the guy and I'm not really the guy. So I don't know how to put
So
it better.
it's more of a reflection. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's more of a reflection. Like, yeah, I thought and other
okay,
people thought I was the guy, but I'm not really the guy, and that's kind of
really
nice
cool.
to come to that realization.
Thank you for that. I think that's all I had for that song. What about you, Cody? Anything there? I think you already.
Man, how did this song idea come to you? I mean, anything else musically, like, you know, was the same process with the voice notes or is
I
this part of
yeah,
something else?
I think that when I sat down at we have a big grand piano in our living room. I think I sat down at that thing and did like the da na na. I think I just that kind of happened and I kept it, and then I think I had like the bridge. There's kind of a weird chorus slash bridge that I had another piece of, and it was kind of like just put those together. And I knew I wanted to have a really slow, kind of offbeat one that had a lot of like space and reverb and stuff. So it was just kind of like it fit a spot for me in the record that I wanted. I like ballads. I like records from that era that have like really kind of heavy, deep ballads, man. I like that stuff.
Yeah, man, I'm a sucker. I don't know why I love the ballads. I just
Yeah.
everyone I know wants to rock. I want
Yeah.
I want Janet Jackson love songs from the 80s. It's just I
Yeah.
don't know what happened.
Yep,
Need that once
exactly.
in a while.
I want Crazy for You. That's what you want.
Yeah. Well, great, man. Yeah. So I'm just going to go straight into another section unless you need a break or something. Let's move on to geeky stuff. And this is for most of our listeners are probably musicians. It's the whole, all my friends that play guitar Starflyer thing. Like everyone that's listening to this probably plays guitar or something.
Yeah.
So how about the recording process? Like what's your guitars that you like to use? Let's start with the guitar.
Okay.
I want to say it's a Telecaster.
Well, I used a lot of guitars on this album, sort of intentionally. I wanted to have a lot of different guitar sounds, and so I try to have like one of all the main ones. So like I used a lot of Strat on this. I used a lot of Tele. I used a lot of Les Paul. I've never really done Les Pauls before, so I did some of the big leads and stuff on Les Pauls. I used what else did I use? I kind of have a lot more guitars than I've had. I used a Jag. I think most of the big like lead guitar, like rock leads, are actually a Fender Jaguar that I have. 75 Jag. I used a Jazz Master for some stuff, which never
Holy
used
cow.
before. Yeah, I used a lot, and I use a lot of different acoustics too. I have a ton of acoustics. Like I have a 65 Gibson B25 that I love that I use for a lot of the acoustics, and I did like a lot of the acoustics are run direct on this, which I kind of have always loved that sound, kind of a crispy, instead of miking it, you just put a pickup and plug it in and run it through like a tube preamp or something. So I did a lot of that. I like running acoustics through chorus effects. So I did that on a lot of the acoustics. It was a really guitar focused kind of production thing.
You use you use a chorus on an acoustic. I've never heard of that.
I mean,
before.
I use chorus on all there's probably hardly a guitar on this whole thing that doesn't have chorus on it. Maybe a couple. I've always loved chorus. It's just kind of the thing. But yeah, I used a lot of acoustics with chorus, which I hadn't done a lot of acoustics on other albums. This actually has a fair amount of acoustic guitars doing parts other than just strumming. So yeah, it was really, I wanted to do a really guitar heavy album that had just like tons of tracks of guitars layered and layered. So most of the production recording was me just sitting in here grabbing different guitars and amp combinations, and I used some amps. I used a lot of the guitars are run direct. I don't use a lot of plugins on guitars because I don't love how a lot of those sound, but I do. I have a Universal Audio 2 preamp that I love to like plug stuff in direct that kind of gives that like scrappy kind of dry sound that I like. So yeah, just a lot of different experimentation and stuff.
What kind of, tell me more about the preamp. Give me like a brand, and
you want to know what it is. It's an LA610
and an Amazon link if you can't. No, just kidding.
I don't know. Yeah, it's an LA610 Mark II. It's not anything like too insane, but it's just kind of a standard mic pre, and it has a direct input on it too. So most of all the bass is always run through that too. Because I run the bass direct. I don't mic up amps in here or anything. So all the bass was run through that thing, and then a lot of the guitars are too. So
okay, cool. And I'm an idiot when it comes to this. Like, I mean, the preamps are like those modules with the tubes.
The reason I like it, so like you're again geeking out. So you're like your interface for your studio, your digital thing that you plug into isn't tube, and so it tends to be not the warmest, nicest sounding thing. So before I hit that, I like to go through the tube pre just to help kind of make it sound a little nicer. So yeah, a lot of the guitars are done that way. I use a lot of amps. I have a number of different amps in here, so I was miking up amps. There's just a real variety of stuff going on for guitars.
I had there's certain things on this record that I can kind of pick sounds like on going back to I Felt Called. It kind of felt like that was something straight out of OMD. And then this isn't really geeky. This is probably more just observation from one of the songs. But my favorite song on the album is "Desert of My Dreams."
Oh, cool.
I don't know how that ranks on your favorites of the record, but there's like a very distinct pad or the synth sound that sounds straight out of like Morrissey's "Last of the Gang to Die."
Oh, that's
I don't know if that was. I don't know if this was intentional.
No,
if you were.
I don't even really know that song that well. No, that song was another another kind of one I had right around the time of Not Thrilled that I probably a little bit after, but I've had that song hanging around for a long time and I couldn't solve it and didn't like it. I almost didn't put it on this album.
Man,
I just
it's
like
a banger.
it was so long and I just was like, oh man, I don't know. But I finally got it to where I was like, okay, I like this. And it's like it's kind of like a Cure song off of Disintegration or something, you know. It's like kind of
Yeah.
too long, but it's just like this kind of huge juggernaut of a thing.
Mhm.
A lot of tracks, like too many tracks on that thing.
I love it, man. It's
Oh, thank you,
it's
man.
so it's huge. It's like a huge song.
It's
You know what I
kind of
mean?
huge,
Like
yeah.
it's not. Yeah, I love that. I love that about certain spots in this record too. There's like very huge like moments musically. Like it's just not. It hasn't been like that on other records, which is
Yeah.
cool. You know, I mean,
Yep.
whether that was intentional or that's like a a growth thing or whatever. That's just really neat to hear.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think so. Part of the last couple of things that I did were like weird instrumental new age kind of random stuff that I kind of just needed to get out of my system. But I kind of carried over some of the ethic of that on the bigger, longer songs of like, this is like a rock song, but it has like really heavy kind of ambience that you would find in like some weird new age recording or something. It was my really haphazard attempt to kind of like bring those different things kind of together. So Desert of My Dreams was kind of one like that. The other one, Hover Overton, is another one that's really long that I was trying to be like, okay, it's like Windham Hill was going to do like a post rock kind of song. Like what would it be? And that's kind of what I came up with.
That's cool. Yeah, it's another one of my favorites.
So you mentioned pedals, right? You said chorus pedal is one of
Pedals.
your tools.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell
for
me your
cool.
top. Okay, if I were to go buy some pedals, like say like 4 pedals, right?
4 pedals.
What four should what chorus definitely is one of them. What should it be if I were to go buy 4 pedals?
Oh man, I mean, I was trying to think like the ones that I used on this thing. I mean, I actually didn't use very many pedals. Most like for the chorus, most of the chorus is actually from a Roland Space Echo, which is I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a tape delay that Roland makes. It's like sitting down here, you can't see it, but people know what they are. But basically, it does delay and chorus using tape. It's like an analog version of it. So most of the chorus is either that or I have a Roland JC120 amp that I've had forever that is like the classic like chorus sound. So like a lot of it is that chorus. So I didn't actually use a pedal. I have a Roland an old kind of vintage Roland CE2 chorus pedal that I've had forever. That's probably, if you're gonna get a pedal, like that's a good one. If you want just like classic good chorus. Lot of like delay and stuff, but again, most of the delays are like Space Echo. They're not like pedals. Trying to think what else.
What about like I know I don't hear a lot of distortion, but do you have like an equalizer or something like that, or is that
Most of
just
the
you equalize it through your app?
Most of the distortion is just amps. Like, I always like better when you're recording. I think like overdrive and stuff sounds a lot better when it's just the amp like being cranked than it does like using a pedal. It's because like it's just better. It's like more natural and warmer and stuff. So like any of the really heavy guitars and stuff on there are like an amp actually like cranked up, and distorting. So I use pedals for that when we're playing live. Like for recording, I just like to do it with an amp. Everything is so digital, and when you're recording, it's nice to try to have some things that are like as real as they can be.
I agree. Yeah, I try to explain that. My daughter's starting to record, and I'm trying to explain that to her, and she'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about microphones? Are your typical like you have condenser
I have really
mics?
basic mics here. Part of the reason why I go do the mix and the vocals at Flying Blanket is because like he has like an incredible vocal mic that I've used for everything I've done like the last 20 some years. I don't even know what it is. It's some super old thing. So I haven't been able to ever really make vocals sound that great in the studio here. I mean, it's fine, but so I do that there. As far as like miking up amps, I'm pretty basic, dude. I'm using like an SM57, which is just a classic, I'm using that for acoustics. I've got a few, nicer mics if I'm miking up acoustics and stuff in here, but I don't have like a really crazy microphone setup at all. I keep it pretty simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you mix and master at the same place? Your friend that you were just talking about?
It's really hard. Yeah, it's pretty simple to get good audio recorded in a small home studio. I found that it's hard to like then go to the next step and actually like do a really great mix and like everything that you need to do that is that I found that that's harder in my setup because I just don't have a lot of outboard gear and stuff that you need. I don't have a great room that sounds great, to be able to get good reference for a mix. Flying Blanket is like an incredible, really, really amazing studio, and I'm used to it. I've worked there so much, so I just have found like it's just worth the extra, money to throw it in to get me in there for a week, and it takes the albums from being a very passable home recording to being to sounding like excellent. So that kind of just gets back to at this stage of life, it's like I don't really, if I'm going to do this, I want to make it as good as I can.
Yeah.
Cool. We appreciate that. What does Charlie use? Is he using like an old Ludwig kit or?
Dude, I honestly don't remember. I think we use like what do we use for the snare? An acrylite maybe.
Like those aluminum ones from
I'm
Ludwig's
pretty sure
like
that's what we
70s.
used on the snare. Yeah, and that was the main thing, just like getting that thing to not sound like every other 70s snare that everybody's listening to, forever. But I don't really,
Right.
honestly, I don't remember what else he has in there. We didn't use a lot. We didn't use any samples or anything though. It's all real drum sounds on the record. So that I like that. I don't know. I feel like you can.
Yeah, it sounds. I
You can
mean,
kinda tell.
it sounds way different than your other records, and your other records sound
Yeah.
good, but this was a very like again, Charlie was a locomotive. He's just like powering through. It just sounded really, really good. I had a funny story about that snare. I've won one of those snares at a card game
Oh, really?
in Oklahoma City. Yeah,
Nice.
I was with of course Jason and Jeff, and I was winning. And then some guy was desperate. It's like, I'm going to bet my snare. I need my money back from, because my wife's going to be mad at me. So I'm going to bet the snare. So I won like $800 and one of those acrylite snares
Still have it?
from like the 70s. Yeah, I
Nice.
don't have, dude. I sold my drums when I went to college because
Bummer.
everyone kept asking me to fill in, and I just needed to get through school and
Yeah.
get my degree.
No drums.
I sold all my drums. Remember that cool kit I had? I sold everything for $500 with the cases and the cymbals.
Wow.
Gosh, dude.
Dang. Yeah,
That's how desperate I needed it. I just needed people to leave me alone and
Right.
so I could get through it.
right. Oh man.
So
Yeah, those are good snares. They're cool.
yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. I'm gonna move on to the last part of it. Thanks for hanging in there. Fan questions. So I went in and I just went onto the Velvet Blue Facebook page. I just said, okay, if you were to ask, Rob Withem any questions, and then probably
What?
5 minutes later, it was like it was probably like 20 responses, and thankfully a lot of them asked the same question, so I'm going to bundle them up. Okay, so.
All right.
I'm going to go for the first one. Cody, maybe we could ping pong here. You could do the next one, and then I'll do the next. And so the first one, Brian Hanchek, William Eckhart, and Todd Pennington. So he asked, what is your favorite songwriters and the favorite songwriting process? I think you went through it a little bit, but your favorite songwriters and then your favorite songwriting process.
Songwriters. Okay. Oh man, I'm trying to think the ones that I go back to. I mean, probably Mark Kozelik from Red House Painters is probably one of my I've loved his stuff for years, like all the way back, when I first got into music. He's kind of gone off the rails in recent years, but he's a great songwriter. My music doesn't really sound anything like his, but he's always he's one of those guys that feels like his presence is kind of always there, like just the way that he writes and like melodically, and I love that guy. Let's see here. I mean, in the early days for me, I was just like an absolute like Smiths, aficionado. Like, still love the Smiths. I don't really listen to them that much anymore, but their DNA is like kind of in the way that I write songs and approach the guitar and even the vocals to a certain degree. Like that, their stamp is on kind of what I do for good or ill. I'm trying to think. Older stuff, like I've always been a huge Neil Young fan. I love that guy. One of the first dates I ever went on with Amy, like when we were in high school, we went and saw Neil Young in like 1994.
Oh man, was that during his Harvest Moon?
That was Harvest Moon. So they did half the show was like with Crazy Horse. Actually, it wasn't Crazy Horse. It was with Booker T and the MGs was his backing band, which is kind of random. So half the show was like rock, and then half the show was like Harvest Moon acoustic stuff. And I think like Blind Melon and Social D opened for him too. And I was like 14, but I've been a massive Neil Young fan since I was like 14. I freaking love that dude. He's a great songwriter.
Do you not agree that the Neil Young Unplugged record is one of the best records ever?
It's awesome.
Do you agree?
I listened. I had that on cassette. Like I listened to that to death when I first started playing guitar and like writing songs. Yeah, I love that. Like it has like Pocahontas on it, like String Man, Mr. Soul.
Hurricane.
Yeah, it's he's playing the pump organ on that. Yeah, Neil Young. I love Neil Young. I've always been a massive Neil Young fan. Yeah, I don't know. It's always whenever you get asked that, it's like, what do I think? I think who else? You know, I grew up listening to like lots of instrumental kind of new age kind of music. Well, my parents were kind of into that, so I've always had a really like soft spot in my heart for like all that stuff too. Like, there was a record label called Withem that put out like, you know, tons of like kind of new age instrumental guitar music and really cool ambient stuff. I've always like loved that stuff. Trying to think who else. Let me look at my most played here. Try to jog my memory a little bit. So you're looking for like all time or like more recent stuff that I'm into?
I think probably. I mean, he just asked, or they just asked, you know, like some of your writers. I mean, that's probably. Yeah, that could go on for another hour.
It could, yeah. That should cover it. Those are some of my big ones.
Yeah, and then you mentioned the process. You said like you're not like a lyrics first guy. You probably write a hook first and then you build on that. Is that what you said?
Yeah, usually. I mean, yeah, exactly. The song, the way I do it now, you know, being able to like record, it's kind of the recording and the writing process are kind of the same thing in a lot of ways. So it's kind of like building tracks. So I usually will have an idea or a snippet to start with, and you just start building the track, you know, in your studio and recording it as you go along. And then things get replaced and changed, and it makes it easy to like, I'm kind of impatient. So I like to get to where I can kind of hear a rough just layout of a song as fast as possible. So like when you're doing it in Pro Tools or in Logic or whatever, you can kind of get some parts and you can like cut and paste and like you can lay it out pretty fast and be like, oh, okay, I can see that. And then I don't know. It's probably I'm just impatient. So it helps.
So bird's eye view first of everything. And then you start.
All right, the structure of this thing is good. And then I'll take my time, you know, to start fleshing it out after that. But at least if I can get the skeleton of the thing where I like it and the basic, you know, kind of parts there, that helps me get excited enough to kind of like finish it. If I don't have that, I usually just shelve it and put it in the archive folder, in which I have like millions of like songs that I don't want to go look at that. It's too daunting.
So Justin Edwards was asking, I think he meant to ask, would you be interested in Frank Lenz doing string instruments for your next release?
I'd be interested. Is he offering? I mean,
he's his agent, I guess.
That's funny. Sure. Well, I mean, yeah, Frank Lenz is awesome. The only time that Frank Lenz ever had anything to do with a Fine China record is he tuned the drums on When the World Sings when we were at the Green Room. I don't know why Gene called him. Gene called him and I think paid him $50 to come in and like tune the snare and some of the other drums. That was
he did that for Leave Here Stranger. That he paid him like $100.
I mean, he's obviously he's a super talented guy. I just haven't ever really interacted with him a whole lot, but he's great. Yeah, he's obviously super talented at all that, especially like string arranging and stuff. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've never done anything like that. Usually the strings that I've done are all in the box. You know, I'm doing those on my own, but yeah, who knows?
Cool. So Chet Harvey, he asked, how many leftover songs from each album do you have? Like, so you recorded
like a lot. I mean, not from
is it like 5? Is it like 2?
I don't have stuff from the early albums, but the last, you know, since Not Thrilled, like I have like a massive amount of stuff, and they're not all finished, you know, but I have like lots of junk, and I don't delete stuff. So like, cause there's just always a chance that maybe I'll, you know, have an idea to finish something, but yeah, there's lots of bits and pieces of stuff hanging around. I'm not a good file management guy. I keep it all. So it's all on my desktop. It's just all on my desktop. No, not really.
Yeah, that's how everybody, even developer. I work in software, and I remember the old days when you had to put everything in your documents. Everything's on my desktop, so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, me too, man. I'm terrible about that.
Yeah. I mean,
Brock.
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. um, Brock Dittus and Seth Davison want to know about Red Strat, how that came to be. Are there any cool stories about recording the record or whatnot?
So yeah, how it came to be was, how did that come to be? I don't know. I think it was kind of Jason's idea. He had the band name. He's always got the band name, you know. Red Strat, you know, is like really the crummiest, you know, possible guitar you can ever have. You know, it's off just like a Red Strat. You know, it's just like it's not good. But yeah, I think, you know, he and I have always like had a soft spot for like really crummy like blues riffs and stuff. Like, and I think we realized that we both kind of like that. Like when I started playing guitar way back when I was a teenager, my teacher was like a blues guy. So like I learned early on like how to play like all the blues stuff and those kind of just dirty riffs and stuff. And I love that stuff. It obviously hasn't really had much of a home in fine china. So yeah, I think we just had the idea was like we called it beer rock. So like when the original idea was like this, like let's do some tracks that are like you're like in a backyard and like this is beer. This rock is beer, you know, like it's fun. You're having fun and you're drinking like a light beer and like you're by somebody's pool and like, you know, it's not super, it's not heavy, it's just kind of crummy, what old guys would do when they get together. And maybe it sounds like the Allman Brothers a little bit or like, you know, whatever. So, and then we just started like sending back and forth. Jason and I started sending just demos and little snips of like riffs. And it just happened really fast. We just immediately had like a bunch of tracks and like, it was the easiest thing I've ever been a part of. Like it was super fun. No, it was like not difficult whatsoever to get done. It just happened. It was kind of the moment and super fun. And yeah, it was great. You know, I enjoyed it probably more than any recording project I've ever done. I loved it. It was fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really fun. So we did like 2 sessions. We did the first 4 tracks. We recorded drums at a little studio in Huntington Beach randomly. And then we did the rest of the guitars and stuff at Jason's studio. And then we did another session. And I think we did those drums actually in Jason's studio. And so it was like 4 tracks each time. And then we brought everything out here to Flying Blanket and Bob and I mixed all of it out here. So the rest of the guys obviously are out. They all live pretty close to Jason. Tim Tabor would just pop in and do some vocals and, you know, kind of work on it and whatever. So super low key. We never really intended to like do anything cool with it. And I think at some point we just decided like, let's just be really obnoxious and like not even let it come out any except for on vinyl. Just make this really impossible for anybody to get. Again, because we didn't want to face, you know, having 200 plays on Spotify or something. Yeah.
Well,
So that was just,
I got one of those vinyl.
You got one of them? Nice. Yeah, they sold out pretty fast. Yeah, that was a super fun project. My daughter Lydia did the cover on it, which was just bizarre. Like I don't know how she came up with that, but it was like exactly we wanted to have I've always loved the like, what do you call it, the toothpaste kind of logos that some of those bands have. Like Steely Dan had a record where it was like, you know, it's like Steely Dan and like toothpaste. It's just like really stupid. Like, why would you do that? So we kind of got the logo, and then you know, we were like, I just wanted to have a cover that was just totally crap, you know, like this is just like dumb. And she nailed it. I don't even know how she came up with that, but she was like messing around for a few days and she like brought it to me. I was like, that's it, you did it. It's like got the Tabasco, you know, dripping out.
So a little bit of trivia. Jason, before he recorded, I think it was called the Portuguese Blues. I think that was one of his release.
Yeah.
He wanted to do exactly that, what Red Strat did, but called it Jason Martin and the Portuguese Blues.
Oh, that's funny.
Back in like 2001. Yeah. So I'm glad he got to do that.
Yeah. He loves all that. Yeah, just those kind of like those riffs that everybody knows. So yeah, it felt like we were like a cover, you know, old guys like in a cover band or something, you know, but we kind of had our own songs we were covering.
Well, I got to see you guys live one time. I
you
didn't
did.
say hi. I was just kind of snuck in to that bar in Glendale or something.
Easy Tiger. Yeah, we did 2 shows. We did one in Costa Mesa, and then we did a couple weeks later one out here at this little bar called Easy Tiger. It was a really fun show. It's like really lots of people, and not a very good PA, just rock. It was fun.
Okay, next question here. Okay, I'm gonna. This person's gonna get mad at me. I can't pronounce the name. Ellis Samuel. Ellis Samuel. Don't get mad at me. And actually, Jeff Cloud. Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on Lust for Gold? How did you contribute?
So I played some guitars on Lust for Gold. I played a few other random like a steel guitar, slide guitar stuff. What else? I did a lot of I think all the synths or keyboard stuff that's on there I did, with the exception of the piano on the last track that my daughter Lydia did on. She did that one. But yeah, that was. I mean, I loved hanging out with Jason. I loved playing guitar. It was just like, again, really really fun coming up with parts, trying to. I like playing guitar for other people. I don't get to do it a ton, but it's fun for me because I don't have to worry about the whole song and everything. I'm just coming in kind of trying to figure out what fits, and I really enjoy that. I would have liked to have been like a session guitar player in another life or something.
Hey, you can still do it, man. You're not done yet.
That's right. Yeah. So similar process. We batted around demos, and I would put down a bunch of different ideas and send it back to Jason, and then I just was like, do whatever you want. It's your thing. So he would weed through it, and he inevitably pick a couple of things, and that would stick, and ended up. Yeah, it was cool. I love that album. Is incredible. Like, I felt really honored to be able to like be on it, because it's like the songs are really incredible. I think it's like a really great record.
Yeah, it's cool. Real good. That's a little bit of a insider detail. I don't think anybody knows your daughter was on the album. There's no credit for that, is there?
Yeah, she's on there in the liner notes. Yeah, just for the last song, Withem.
Okay.
She also did the art
interesting.
too, so all the illustrations and stuff she did on the booklet
no
that
way.
came out. Yeah, that's
Wow,
fun.
that's impressive.
Yeah,
That's super cool.
yeah, that was fun to be able to have her on that. So, yeah, it's just part of getting old. I was her age when I first, got into Starflyer, started playing, and now she's a part of it, which is fun.
That's super cool. All right, I guess I got the last one. This is somebody with the same name as our friend Joey here, Alice the Squeeble, and she would like to know, how do you make your guitar sound so cool?
I don't know. Did we talk about that already?
We talked about it. I think you covered it with the chorus pedals, and the what kind of amp do you use again when you record?
I use on this one. I use the Fender Deluxe. I use
Fender Deluxe.
Over here. I used a Roland JC 120. I used a Fender Twin Reverb. I think that's about it. I think pretty much just those 3, and then a lot of direct.
Yeah, and I think
a lot of direct.
Yeah, and you covered a lot of it earlier.
A lot of the really clean stuff is direct, and that always sounds more interesting to me if you're just wanting really, really clean guitars. It just is more present, I think, to run them direct like that than going through an amp. So,
and just to let you know, Rob, my daughter was like a natural fan. Like, she stole an old 7-inch. I think it was the I'm Sorry 7-inch. I think it is.
It's super old.
And she stole it because she liked the artwork. So, and I got her a turntable, and so she started playing it, and she loved it. And then my other daughter Charlotte stole it and started listening on her record label, on her record player. And then I think my wife bought another. I think it was. I want to say it was Self-Care or something. I think my wife bought it for her. So she listens to that. She's a real Rob Withem fan. I mean, honestly, I never forced her to listen to it. She just ended up loving it. So
that's cool, dude. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I know we're running kind of long right here, but really quick, where can we buy some of that I Felt Called merchandise? SoundCloud, I know, sells it, but do you want to? You rather buy directly from you or from Cloud? Or
I think Velvet Blues. Yeah, if you're gonna order like the vinyl, that's the way to do it. I don't really know other than that where you can. I mean, I'm sure there's some other vendors that have it, but I would just Velvet Blues is the way to go. I know he still has some of those. We need to sell them, so get them out of there.
Yeah. Well, her birthday's coming up. I might be getting her a nice chorus pedal and a fine china record. So
throw
we'll
in
see.
one of those
There you go.
CE2s, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And also any upcoming shows. I know you said a second ago you don't really play a lot of shows. Any
We
special
don't.
ones coming out that we should know
No,
about?
we don't have anything on the calendar. So yeah, nothing at the moment. But if there is something, I don't even know. We have a very like defunct Instagram account that hasn't had anything posted on it for like a long time. But if we do a show, that's probably the way to find out about it.
That's where to find out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Try not to.
Well, man,
No, go ahead.
I appreciate. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob.
No,
I
you're good.
cut you off there.
I don't know what I was saying.
Okay. It is getting kind of late. Yeah, sorry. But I just wanted to go ahead. I know, me too, man. This is like my third cup of coffee here for the day. So I just want to do some closing thoughts. Thank you very much for the Rob Withem episode 2.0. We were never really close friends, but I consider you a friend. I consider whenever I think of Velvet Blue, I think of Fine China. You guys are like veterans. And kind of like how Starflyer was with in Tooth and Nail when he was on Tooth and Nail, but 29 years of writing really good music and improving, and I just wanted to congratulate you, and I hope you guys could show up to Idaho one day, because I think that will be a fun family trip. Take you to go see a Fine China concert. I don't know. What do you think?
Idaho, man. Where in Idaho are you? Boise?
So I'm in really close to Boise. It's an outer town called Caldwell. But if you ever play Boise, man, I mean, we're there, man, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It probably is a pretty low chance. I was in Idaho last February for a couple of days with my daughter looking at a college, but other than that, I haven't been there much. I do like Idaho though.
Yeah, Idaho's great. No regrets moving there. So, Cody, do you want any last thoughts for you before we close out?
Yeah, just, Rob, thanks for the music for all these years, man. I mean, like I said, I know we've crossed paths a number of times, and it's super cool that you've always been very gracious, and it's very surreal just listening to this music, man, after all these years. Like, and even me still working with Jeff on the site stuff, it's just to think that he's putting out such good music, and that's like that last record is definitely the pinnacle for me. So
Oh, thanks, man.
it's super cool and surreal at the same time. Yeah, I mean, like I said, not to make you feel weird or anything, but it's just cool music, man, and I think we definitely all appreciate it for sure.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Velvet Blue Music podcast. To support Velvet Blue Music and the artists you've heard today, pick up records directly at velvetbluemusic.com, and be sure to follow and stream our bands on platforms like SoundCloud and Bandcamp. For more conversations with artists from across Velvet Blue's 30 plus years of history, follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you never miss an episode. This is a Velvet Blue Music production.